For more coverage for the WCQ 2018 Berlin.
So here we have Evangelos.
Hello and welcome back to the European Championships 2018. I'm here with Matt Bell.
Hey Luke, how are you doing today?
We're doing good. I mean, we are here in the second round and we've got another cracking match for you.
Yes, we're going to be seeing Finn Bakewell facing off against Mario. Forgive me if I pronounce his name wrong. What do you have there?
Mario Argiro.
Mario Argiro. This is going to be an interesting match to face off. Tell us some stats about the players, Luke.
Yeah, so Finn Bakewell, I don't have the deck from the last tournament because he didn't play in Bochum, but we know that he is sporting a 75% win ratio. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty high. How many tournaments has he played in?
He's played in 8 different tournaments, one of those being the Nationals, where he actually came second to Tom Rose.
Yeah, and that was really unfortunate as well. We saw his, in that final game, he threw 2 hands that just went absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both him and Tom kind of agreed that match wasn't really a true representation of what the finals could have been. Yeah. But this could be it. Finn may be able to take it, but I do know that he's playing Pendulum.
And what about Mario? What stats have we got on Mario?
So Mario Argiro has attended 12 tournaments. In Bochum, he played the Invoked deck, so that was kind of out of the meta a little bit for Bochum. So yeah. That's quite interesting. He played in his national championships and he came 130th. So
that's not quite a high finish, to be honest. That definitely makes a day 2 cut. It doesn't quite make it doesn't make top 64, but
especially for the Italian nationals. That looks like a bubble actually. Yeah, he has a total win ratio of 67%.
So this should be actually pretty close then, considering the 2 caliber of players that we have on here.
Yeah, absolutely. And the key thing with the statistics are that the more tournaments you play, the closer and closer your win rate gets to kind of
a true representation.
Yeah, it's more true. Also, constantly the way that it works is that your win rate is kind of forced to 50% because of the players that you're playing against.
The system will always try and pair you 50-50. So if you're X1, you play against X1s. It will always try and make sure you have an opponent who's matching you. Yeah. The whole point of the system is to make you 50-50.
Yeah, so it's kind of a weird one because the more tournaments you play, the more likely it is to be a representation of your own skill, but at the same time, you've had more of a chance to play against people that aren't necessarily 50-50 with you because you start at 0-0 each tournament. So it's kind of an interesting statistic. You can take it with a bit of a pinch of salt, but over the number of tournaments that we're seeing for the likes of Finn or JY, for example, JY has the largest number of tournaments with 37.
It's basically every weekend he's at a regional.
Basically every weekend, yeah. So Mario is playing Trickstar Mech Knights.
Yes, he's definitely playing the Trickstar deck. It'd be interesting to see how he fares off against Finn's Pendulum deck. The cat's out of the bag for the... That was a really good pun I could have used later. I threw that one out for Dante's cat.
Yeah,
but,
you did.
Now that the Pendulum deck's been seen not only to have success at the UK National Championships, but the North American WCQ second place finish, people won't have been neglecting their Pendulum matchup, so it'd be interesting to see because Finn had a field day with the top deck during the UK Nationals. That's all he wanted to play.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see if Mario has taken the Pendulum matchup into consideration in his build.
Yeah, exactly. But I think as well, this is something that Tom was talking about. I'm sure he'll talk more about it in the match, that as soon as the cat's out of the bag, I'm sure he'll use the same pun.
Now we've just ran that one right into the ground. There you go. We'll have to come up with something better.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as the people know about a deck, then you can prepare for people knowing.
Oh, so you go next level. You go, okay, so you're going to be bringing in Unending Nightmare or Anti-Spell Fragrance, and then you make an additional adjustment on top of that.
Exactly, and then but then you can go forever. But with that thought in mind, let's head on over to our commentary team, Oliver Gurman and Thomas Rose, for round 2 feature match.
Okay, well, let's just put the cat back into the bag for a moment and have a look closer at these deck lists. We've heard, obviously, we have Mario here on the Trickstar Sky Striker with the Mech Knights. Now, I don't think that's going to be working in his favor here. We saw the Mech Knights coming into that deck to give an edge in the mirror match. It's bigger than all of the Trickstar monsters, and it just gives you easy ways to attack over things, but the Pendulum deck operates in a very different way.
Yeah, it doesn't mind. It doesn't mind the heavy hitters, and Finn might be well positioned. Before we head over to the match, just one thing. They addressed it. You want to say something that Finn did brick in the finals, or was it something else that happened there?
I think that was a pretty fair assessment, what they said.
Oh,
the finals was a very short match, and certainly Finn's opening hand in the first game was absolutely dreadful. The second game, I just happened to have all the hand traps that I needed to take him down.
Right, guys. All I'm going to say to this is that when the camera is not rolling, it was a very different story. With that, guys, let's move over to the other camera and get our feature match for round 2 underway. So here we have Finn on the left. Mario Argiro. Argiro is the name to pronounce this. My friends from the UK. Is sitting on the right-hand side with Sky Striker, Trickstar, Mech Knight. It doesn't even fit on one line because there's so many different archetypes all mixed together in one deck. And do they actually all work together that well, or are you losing some consistency here?
Given that the Mech Knights are such a small engine, we see just 2 copies of Purple Nightfall, 1 Blue Sky, and 1 Indigo Eclipse. There's no huge hit. But they are tech cards that aren't going to be working to their full effect in this particular matchup.
Right. Okay. So your guess is that Finn is going to take this?
I think Finn is certainly favored going into it.
Okay.
Obviously, he will have built his deck, particularly with the Trickstar Sky Striker deck in mind, so he will be geared up to face this matchup. As far as Mario is concerned, Pendulum is a little bit rogue.
Yep. Well, but if anybody knows how to play it, it's definitely Finn Bakewell. We heard it. He's playing Pendulum all the time. They didn't even say, the other commentators, we need the deck list. They were like, yeah, Finn is playing Pendulum. He always does. And seems to serve him well, so why not?
Yeah, well, we need to see, though, how much of a board Mario can put together here. He needs to work his way into some interactions to prevent Finn from going off. We see Ash Blossom in hand. That's already one piece of interaction that he's got prepared for facing off against the Electromite, but that alone isn't going to be enough to stop what Finn's trying to get done here.
Yeah, but on the other hand, Mario also does have pretty good opening here with an Engage and the Hornet Drones. Going for the combo here of the Sky Strikers.
Yeah, I think he will opt to use this Engage to search out a Widow Anchor from his deck to just find that second piece of interaction. Taking the Shizuku, that will enable him to search for a second Engage in the end phase.
Mm-hmm. So pretty standard opening.
Yeah,
he has
a Mech Knight in his hand. It's not much use for him turn 1. He could summon it, but it would get no search, so he'll opt to keep it in hand instead. He summons 1 Licorice to try and inflict a little bit of damage, and it looks like he's going straight to the end phase on the Shizuku, not opting to take the search with that Engage and set a Widow Anchor.
So less interaction for him. He does have the Ash Blossom, we mentioned that. But it sounds like you would have certainly tried to find that second piece of interaction, as you like to call it.
Yes, obviously at that point he would have to sacrifice the normal summon of the Licorice, leaving the main monster zones empty, but I'm not sure how much benefit putting 1 Licorice onto the board is going to give him here, and Finn with a 6-card Pendulum hand should really be throwing out something very big, even through an Ash Blossom, which we'll see taking out the Dragon Shrine here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. And yes, again, sometimes the telegraphing is just too easy.
Yes. Now, Finn isn't in an ideal situation here. He doesn't appear to have any way into the Electromite before his Pendulum summon. But he does have a lot of tools in his hand to make a big Pendulum summon direct from the hand.
So how much of a difference does it make if you're able to go for the Electromite before the Pendulum summon? Why is that so clutch?
Oh, it's huge. Not only does it give you more resources, because the 2 monsters that you've used to summon the Electromite can then be summoned back from the extra deck, it also gives you the zones in your main monster zone to summon them. And again, the additional resources pulled directly from the deck via the effect of that Electromite.
So big difference maker. Here we saw Mario reading a card from Finn. Could be strategy. Could be that he actually doesn't know the card that well. It's obviously better to double check before you just run into something that you didn't see coming. But on the other hand, this might give us a bit of an insight and tell us that Finn might have the element of surprise working for him.
So I believe that was the Zhanki Magician that he chose to look at there. It has an effect in the scale that can negate the effects of light monsters, I believe. And that can be very relevant, taking down Trickstars. If we can just pull this up here.
Yeah, we can. Here we go. So, once per turn, you can target 1 face-up exceed monster you control.
Okay, so it's only the monster effect. that is able to negate the light effect monsters. So it won't be doing anything for him in the scale, but if he's able to get it into his extra deck later and then Pendulum summon it back out again, it may have some interaction with the Trickstars.
It wouldn't be all that surprising if it happens. I mean, this is one of those decks that is notorious for returning card to the extra deck, bringing them back. It's like an entire tag in, tag out, a little bit like the Goki deck, just in a different way.
Yeah, here we see Finn making use of the extra monster zone that was enabled by his opponent's Shizuku.
We don't see that all that often.
No, but
it's relevant.
Yeah, particularly in a Pendulum deck where you're very much limited by the number of live zones to summon from your extra deck. Having those Sky Striker Ace monsters enabling the extra access to your extra deck can really change things up a bit.
Yeah.
So he's taken the Chronograph Sorcerer here, and he still has 2 Pendulum monsters on his board to be able to make the Electromite. No, instead opting for a rank 4 by the looks of things.
Huh. It's also interesting, if you look at Mario's facial expression, he looks at it with, I would say, with mild amusement. He's like taking this in. He's like watching this and he's like, I'm not entirely sure what is happening, is what my guess would be, but I don't like it. I'm pretty certain I don't like it.
Yeah, it looks like Finn's trying to put in a lot of damage, and Mario might just be going through in his head exactly how much he's about to take here.
So
see Black Fang effect activating in the scale and triggering the Chronograph in his hand on the destruction. That looks like it could well be lethal damage.
Yeah, if he keeps going like this, and keep in mind he did play under an hand trap, under an Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, and he's still able to like assemble such a field. Just goes to show how strong the Pendulum Magician deck is in the right hands.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the Xyz Dragon monster that he summoned to his own extra monster zone, I think that has an effect that activates in the damage step as well. It'll take the attack of his opponent's Licorice, boost itself up higher, and inflict huge amounts of damage. And I'm not sure exactly how much we're looking at here, but it's not going to be far off 8,000.
Yeah, we can try and crunch numbers here. We got the... This is the Xianke Magician.
The Supreme King Dragon, I believe.
Let's bring this guy up. It's got 2,500. And if it battles an opponent's monster, you can detach 1 material until the end of this turn. Change the attack of that phase of opponent's monster to 0. So basically that is 2,500 life point loss.
And if you do, this card gains attack equal to the original attack of that opponent's monster. So
we should actually read until the end of this effect text. Yeah.
So that'll be hitting for 4,100 over the Licorice.
Big swing.
And then the Black Fang and the other Xyz monster, the Time Star, I think that's probably enough for game.
Also, during the battle phase, you can return this card to the extra deck and special summon up to 2 face-up Supreme King Dragon and or Supreme King Gate Pendulum monsters from your extra deck and defense pushes them. That doesn't help to put more damage in, but in the end it was enough.
It can do if you have the Dark Worm in your extra deck.
Oh, right. See, even more crazy combos here. So, wow. Finn Bakewell on his very first turn wraps things up for the first duel. And now, of course, it is time to take a look at the side decks for both of these duelists. I think Finn knows exactly the position he's in. He must have been testing this quite a lot. He is familiar with the Pendulum Magician deck. What is going through Mario's head right now with his unique take with Sky Strikers, Trickstar and Mech Knights going up against Pendulum Magician?
So Mario is going to want to take out those Mech Knights, knowing that they aren't going to do a lot for him here. He'll opt to be playing first, and he'll put in the Solemn Strikes. The ability to take out an entire Pendulum summon at the cost of 1 card can absolutely end the game immediately. So if we see Mario drawing a Solemn Strike for turn on his first turn, I think he is definitely the favorite to win the game, but obviously it's completely unsearchable, so it's just does he or does he not have it. We don't see any Ghost Reapers in this matchup, so Mario won't be able to take out the Heavy Metal foe's Electromite. On the other side of the table, we see Finn has got Cosmic Cyclones. He may want to use those to take out any Scapegoats or Trickstar Reincarnation. But I don't think there's a great deal in either player's side deck for this matchup aside from those Solemn Strikes coming in for Mario.
Yeah. It's interesting to note that Finn is playing Gagaga Cowboy in his side deck, so it's one of the cards that he doesn't want in his extra deck early on, but he is prepared for the timeout procedure we're following this weekend, so that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he needs it though. His games don't seem to go on very long.
Yeah, if his opponent only has one interruption. And we learned this from a couple of events in the past. I would say for the last 1.5 years or something, we've been preaching this. If your deck cannot play through one negation, there is no chance you're going to win a tournament. And if you want to do really, really well, you need to play through 2 negations. And from what we saw just now, 1 negation didn't really stop Finn Bakewell at all. He just played right through it and went with it with his very first battle phase.
So the players just shuffling up, getting ready. Mario looking eagerly towards the camera.
Yeah, the camera, coincidentally, behind the camera is where all the people are sitting that are looking at him right now. So I think the camera is not the scary part. I think it's the mass of people behind the camera that is looking at you. And usually the feature match is already scary for somebody who's not used to this, with all the lights on you and you knowing that when you make a not ideal play, it's going to be remembered for the ages on the Twitch chat.
Yeah, eternalized on YouTube as well now.
Yeah, today you get like the direct feedback from the crowd, and that might not be a nice thing if you're not playing like a world champion in that very moment. Alright, so here we have the opening 5 for both players being loaded in.
Mario is opened with 2 copies of Scapegoat. That's obviously not ideal for him, but the rest of his hand is really picking up the pace, so he's got the Engage and the Light Stage, gets him to Candina, and obviously with Pendulum not being able to play many hand traps, he's not going to be too worried about any interactions here, and if he's resolved his Engage and his Light Stage, he knows there's not going to be an Ash Blossom waiting for him down the line.
Right.
So he'll just be playing by himself here. He knows what he wants to do. I wonder if we will see him opt to try and get a Widow Anchor this time.
Right.
Do
you think this is one of the lessons that he should have taken away from the first game, where he's like, I need to have more interaction on my opponent's turn?
Potentially, though he may feel that with the infinite impermanence in his hand, he's already got something in that vein to try and counteract Finn's plays. And again, by summoning the Candina, he wants to get resources, but that will prevent him from activating a Widow Anchor, even if he does choose to search for one. So he'll be able to set the impermanence. He can set the Scapegoats, possibly even both. There's some ability to bluff by having lots of sets. If Finn is aware of Solemn Strike being in the meta, he might hold back a little bit on the Pendulum summons, try and not walk into it.
So I think that for somebody who's playing one of those rogue decks, it is even more important to get a good read on your opponent. To know what they might be having, what they might be playing and sliding in to stop you from getting the most out of your deck.
Absolutely. At this point, Finn's just going to be sat there praying that none of those 3 face-down cards is an anti-spell fragrance.
Well, fortunately for him, he's going to know that very, very soon, because usually that gets activated during the draw phase already.
Yeah, so if we'll watch his face here, see if in the standby phase there's a big moment of relief when he's able to play his Pendulum Scales.
Yeah, the standby phase is also called as the relax phase in that moment. It's like, whew, no ASF. Alright, so back to our regular scheduled program, which is Pendulum Summons for Finn Bakewell.
Yeah, this time we see Finn has plenty of options to get into that Electromite before the Pendulum Summon. He's got 2 different special summon triggers before he needs to make his Pendulum Summon, so he's even got a backup if something were to be in some way interacted with here.
What I find fascinating about that is that he's holding a hand with 6 monster cards, and there's absolutely no problem in that. It's not like, oh, I can't play anything, because those are flexible cards. You can do various things with them, and so you don't mind having only monsters, which is not 100% true, of course, because the Pendulum monsters can also be used as spell cards.
Yeah, I think here we might see him go for a second copy of the Electromite. He has 2 Chronograph Sorcerers in his hand. He could activate one and put it straight into the extra deck. You say, using it like spell card to special summon that Time Gazer from his deck and then trigger the second Chronograph Sorcerer in his hand on that destruction.
Right.
So he's got that flexibility that you talk about with monsters that are also spells. Yeah, we see...
What witchcraft is this? All right, so he's going for it. And this time we mentioned that it's during the first duel when you said if you can first get the Electromite on the field and then go for your Pendulum Summon, that can make a big difference, and we might get to see that here.
Yes, although here he's only really using it for the link arrows to get more value from his Pendulum Summon. He's not... Oh, no, he's also got the link arrow from the Shizuku as well.
Yep.
So he's got a huge number of options here. Opts not to go for the second Electromite before the Pendulum Summon, perhaps fearing Solemn Strike.
But wouldn't the Solemn Strike have been flipped like immediately when the first Electromite was on his way to the field?
Possibly not, because Infinite Impermanence can take care of that Electromite and bait a bigger Pendulum Summon to then negate with the strike later down the line.
I see.
So the Tornado Dragon here will be baiting one of the Scapegoats.
It's like a double check. What is this dice saying? As cool as they are, sometimes you need to double check what it says.
Yeah, these are the new set of dice. After we've just had a couple of years on the attribute dice, we now have the Millennium items.
Yeah. There was one player who was waiting in line in registration, talking to Luke and telling Luke how much of a fan he is of those new dice. He said, they are like the coolest thing ever, and I especially like the idea of having a rare drop with them and everything. And then he received his die for signing up, he opened it, and it was a rare drop. Nice. And that just made his entire weekend, not just his day. This guy was like set for the weekend. He's like, this is going to be my weekend. And even if I get to see Berlin instead of playing in the tournament, I had a good time. It paid out to come here.
So we've just seen a really strong tactical play from Mario there. He had the first Scapegoat targeted by the Tornado Dragon. He could have activated it to save it from losing all of the value, but instead he lets it go to the graveyard. At that point he's sort of telegraphed the second copy of the Scapegoat, because Finn will be thinking, why hasn't he done that?
Right.
But he doesn't lose any of those tokens to the battle phase. He'd rather take the damage to the face and then have all of his tokens ready to go for his turn.
So he's losing a bit more resources, but he's gaining something in return, and we can see that now. This is like the traditional opening of the Scapegoat with the 2 Link Spiders.
Now he may be opting to find his way to a Borreload Dragon here in order to steal that Tornado Dragon and start putting the effect back against Finn. If he tries to do so, I expect we'll see the Tornado Dragon effect change. No, instead we have Cerberus to simply destroy.
A little bit less flashy, but effective nonetheless. And in case you're wondering, because we mentioned this, that we have an open stage this weekend, the players are wearing these headphones with noise-cancelling technology. So they cannot hear anything. They can, I mean, they can hear each other, and that is pretty much it. So I guess that helps focus. And even the judge can only talk to them after he pressed the button, which is also quite interesting. So a very different setup that we have this weekend. But it seems to be playing well with the crowd so far.
Yeah, I think it helps to build the spectacle that we have in this feature match corner. It's not just a little area, it's an entire section of the room with everything all crowd-facing for the first time.
It's like almost 1/4 of the room is all just players watching the feature match area because of this new setup. Alright, so still Mario's turn, still trying to find an out to break the board and put some damage on it as well.
Yeah, we saw an interesting play from Finn there. When the Cerberus came down to destroy his Tornado Dragon, he used the Tornado Dragon on his own Pendulum scale, the Purple Poison Magician, to destroy the Purple Poison, trigger its effect in the scale, taking out a token, and also trigger the effect of his Heavy Metal Foe's Electromite to draw a card on the opponent's turn, now that the Infinite Impermanence has worn off.
That's quite skillful. And it's not something extremely obvious that everybody would just immediately be like, oh yeah, this is what I have to do here.
Yeah, he's taking the opportunity to destroy his own cards as a means of generating advantage in other ways.
Yep. Alright, so Mario does have the upper hand right now, but how much ahead can he get? It's not going to be enough to wrap things up here, right?
He'll be able to take control of the board. I expect we'll see a lot of Nightmare monsters coming down, hitting the board, getting the extra normal summon, play the Candina for a second time. Like, he's really setting up shop on his side of the board. We might see a Nightmare Phoenix coming down as well. The attack of Electromite. Oh no, this is game over for Finn. Electromite has more attack than a Licorice, so Mario will just be able to go straight for his Firewall loop here.
If he sees the Firewall loop, we had that situation at the German National Championships when we did custom match and we were like, oh, this looks like a Firewall combo. Oh, there we go. We don't see it. No loops.
Yeah, and he also needs to summon the Licorice to the correct zone when he activates the effect in his hand.
Right.
There's an issue at the UK National Championships.
Right. Very good presence of mind here. As you pointed out, there is the loop, and that is it. That is 1-1. One of the reasons why this deck is so popular at the moment and so strong, if you have that opening, and then you need to meet a couple of requirements for that Firewall loop. Maybe we can just go over them again for somebody who is not as familiar with it. As somebody who's been watching the last, I don't know, 3 or 5 coverage or something.
Yes, you need to have a Firewall Dragon anywhere on your side of the field with an empty zone that it points to. You need to have a Lilybell on your side of the field in attack position, and you need to have a Licorice either in your graveyard or in your hand. The one final requirement isn't on you, it's actually on your opponent. They have to control a monster with more than 1600 attack,
right?
In order for you to be able to attack in with your Licorice and destroy it repeatedly during your own battle phase.
Doesn't sound very intuitive, does it?
Yes, there can be some issues. If their monster has too much attack and you already are fighting with a life point deficit,
right,
you can be in a position where the loop burns you faster than you can damage your opponent.
Yes.
But for the most part, the games tend to be on almost full life until they're over, and if both players have nearly full life and there's a medium-sized monster, say 17 to 2,500 attack points, then the Licorice loop is just a free win at that point.
It certainly was in that second duel just now, and credit where credit is due to Mario, who immediately identified that play. It wasn't like he was thinking very long what he could do. He just saw that opening as soon as the Electromite was like the last card remaining on his opponent's side of the field. Went for it and executed it to perfection. So, yeah, it's 1-1 now, and again, both players are accessing their side decks. Finn, of course, has the option to go first. I think that would be the first time this match, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's correct. And if he opens with a strong hand, we're likely to see a big end board here. So he has access to things like Vortex Dragon and Naruto the Moral Leader, or even main deck monsters, Mythical Beast Jackal King can negate monster effects. So if he can set up the boards that we talk about with multiple negations, Mario could start the duel in a position where he's not able to play his cards in his hand for the full value.
Yeah, talk about an uphill battle. And what about the Solemn Strikes that you mentioned in the second game? Are they going to stay in the deck now, or do you think he's going to get rid of them again because he's going second?
They're very likely to come out here. Solemn Strike, when you're going second, we talk about how quickly a card becomes relevant to the game.
Yeah.
If you're playing second, a Solemn Strike does nothing until turn 3 at the earliest.
Right. Okay, so both these players had some decisions to make. Both feel comfortable with their 40 cards that they're going to be playing now with. Oh, actually it's 41 for Finn. Minor correction here.
Let's just wait for the hands to be loaded in, and then we can see just how far we expect Finn's hand to be going off.
Yeah, so far this is like the quiet before the storm, with both of these players showing their hands. Oh, did Finn decide that Mario can go first?
It does seem that way.
That is interesting.
Perhaps, from what we saw in Game 1, he thinks that his deck is best set up to simply break through a board and then have lethal damage on his very first turn.
And with his Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring that he just used to stop his opponent from searching, that is a good opening for him. Like, certainly not a lot of damage that Mario was able to put on the board. And we see it here. He's got infinite impermanence, twin twisters face down, and just Candina on the field. That is not the strongest of openings for the Sky Striker Trickstar deck.
It's not strong, but it's full of interaction. He has a lot of ways to stop Finn from making the plays that he's trying to make. And with the Ghost Ogre that sits in Mario's hand as well, there is 3 times that Mario can say, no, I don't like where this is going. I'm going to try and do something about it here.
All right, so in a way, Finn has to play through 3 negations now, which is that is basically the Champions League or the World Cup of Yu-Gi-Oh players. This is no longer the Little League.
Mario opts to let that Chronograph Sorcerer through, allowing the Time Star to come up from the deck. Perhaps he wants to save the Ghost Ogre in hand for the on-summon activation of Electromite. Though he does have infinite impermanence for that, so I'm not sure whether I would have saved my Ghost Ogre there.
There's always the question, how much do you expect your opponent to have? And this is like the most complicated read of the entire match, in my opinion, to know these things intuitively.
Yeah, and we'll also need to see if Finn chooses to activate the on-summon effect of his Electromite. He does.
That does look like it, yeah.
It's a bold move, Garmin. Let's see if it pays off. And there's the Ghost Ogre.
That looks good for Mario. So far, his deck did not let him down, and he's been making the most of that unexpected turn of events that he was allowed to go first in that third game.
Yeah, Finn now unsure how he wants to resolve the effect of his Electromite. He will still be able to send a monster from his deck to the extra deck, but he's not in the position that he wanted to be in. Even if he can put together Pendulum Scales afterwards, he has to fight through Twin Twisters, so he'll be forced to use Pendulum Call if he wants to do so.
Right.
So that will at least allow him to fight through the Twin Twister.
Yeah, it could be so much worse, even though it's definitely not the situation he wants to be in. So here we see Pendulum Call. Card that we haven't seen in a little while.
Finn just like gritting his teeth, praying for no Ash Blossom, but the Pendulum Call resolves, so he can proceed. We see a Harmonizing Magician and an Oath Dragon Magician coming to hand. So I expect the Black Fang and the Oath will be used to make the scales, Pendulum summoning the Harmonizing from hand, plus 1 monster from the extra deck.
But Mario, with that Twin Twisters, quite good for him to open that card together with a hand trap. He's got all the answers here.
The Twin Twisters ineffective at the moment due to the lingering effect of the Pendulum Call. The scales can't be destroyed until the end of next turn.
Right. So many things to keep in mind here.
So Finn considering what he wants to add back to this hand with the Oath Dragon potentially here.
So Finn is basically in a much better spot than we thought just a second ago.
Finn is teetering on the brink of destruction based on the protection that's granted through Pendulum Call.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to ask, is it his destruction or his opponent's destruction? Because that makes a big difference.
He's activating the effect of Harmonizing here, and Mario will need to decide whether or not he wants to let that through. Of course, we know he has infinite impermanence, but Finn, with already 2 monsters on the field, has access to extra deck tools already, so he might decide that it's not worthwhile. Nope, he goes straight in on the impermanence. That puts Finn in an interesting place where he doesn't get the summon from the deck for the Harmonizing, but he can still ensure that whatever he chooses to summon now will be resolving because he's already baited that infinite impermanence.
Right. And he's fairly certain that the other card is something different.
Or he may be expecting something like a Scapegoat at this point.
Yeah.
The Tornado Dragon would be to force it out, and that Twin Twisters can't really be used right now. The spells and traps...
That's a fortunate turn of events for Finn Bakewell here, who certainly made the most of the options that his opponent left him with. At first it seemed... Yeah, but now he's going to point out there's the Pendulum Call.
He may, of course, have wanted the Reincarnation direct into the graveyard to be able to use its effect in grave next turn.
So you think Mario was fully aware of the fact that the Twin Twisters wouldn't get to destroy anything, but the discard was so much more important right now?
Yeah, it's difficult to say for sure, but that's the only situation that I can really imagine.
It's certainly interesting that somebody's willingly giving up the few resources they have been left with, but he is setting up a big comeback play here. And he needs it. He absolutely needs it here.
Yeah, Finn will be feeling a little bit relaxed with just a Candina and a Licorice. It's unlikely that we'll be making our way straight to a Firewall Dragon this turn, so...
And also he does have his scales. There is no immediate threat to the scales.
Yeah, being able to get to the Tornado Dragon and take down that Twin Twister before it could be used, I think will be really pivotal for Finn winning this match, if he does go on to do so.
Right, so Mario Argiro in a difficult situation. Not unsolvable, but he's definitely seen some better situations. I mean, he is 1-0 after all.
Yeah, he appears to be looking through his extra deck with the face of a man who isn't sure if he's playing any outs.
Yeah, we got 12 minutes remaining in the round. And currently life points are favoring Mario Argiro, but that's a long way to go with 12 minutes. And we've seen the Pendulum deck assemble those fields in a very quick time. And now we just saw Finn gesturing, hey, can you pick up the pace a tiny little bit? And of course we got a table judge who is also monitoring this closely.
I think this, all of the actions of Mario there was between the activation and resolution of his Trickstar Candina. It was summoned and the effect activated to search, but he wants to know what he's getting before he even looks at his deck.
Right. So the table judges are looking at this very closely, and I think if Mario is not picking up the pace very soon, he might be at a situation where he's going to be awarded a warning. And in case you are not familiar with that, guys, this is going to stick with you for the rest of the weekend. So if you're in another situation and you get caught where you don't play in a respectable pace, let's just call it that, the warning might get upgraded to game loss. And there's nothing that is more annoying than being in a position where one game can make all the difference of you advancing to the top 64, and then you get that game loss and you're out of competition because of that. So he needs to rush a little bit here, and Finn is getting restless.
Yeah, I don't think that Mario has any real strong options for him at this point. He's playing with the look of a man who's already lost. Yeah, I think that is a fair assumption. He seems a bit like he's trying to solve a puzzle and he doesn't know where to start. He just decided where to start. He's attacking. That works. Yes, but he can't out the Tornado Dragon, so the Nightmare Phoenix isn't going to be doing anything right now. He's choosing what to get back with the effect of his Lilybell. He might then choose to activate the effect of Licorice, taking the Lilybell off the field again, but he's already used the Lilybell effect in hand, so he won't be able to summon it back this turn.
Yeah, so he decided...
Going straight for a Link 3, likely the Nightmare Unicorn. Oh, instead, Topologic Trispina. I don't believe he has any Trickstar Reincarnations left in Graveyard, though, so the Trispina effect won't be triggered this turn.
Yeah, according to the app, he does not. I need to say that the volunteers cannot always have all the cards in the graveyards correct, because that happens very quickly sometimes. But I also don't remember him having another one there.
No, there was only one in his opening hand. He held it as a discard for the Twin Twisters, and...
That is what I remember as well.
I think the Trispina might have just been summoned for having attack points.
Yeah, maybe he's trying to stem the bleeding some more, and the exact opposite of that is what Finn is trying to do here. He's got his scale set up. He's got a couple of face-up monsters in the extra deck. All of that is looking pretty good for him.
He just has nowhere to Pendulum summon it before he clears out that extra monster zone with a tribute summon. Not something we see a lot of.
Yeah, I was about to say, this is like old school. But it works. It is effective nonetheless. We need to give him that.
So he just needs to stay a little bit careful and not summon anything in front of that Topologic Trispina.
Yeah, I would be surprised if that's something that happens.
Oh no, I certainly don't expect it to, but it'll be on his mind.
Yeah. Right, so this is the other thing, like even though it is his turn now, you always need a couple of minutes to set up your plays, so even if in theory you have some more time remaining, as you remember, guys, you need to be able to advance to that battle phase in the first place, otherwise you're not going to deal any damage there. Right, so look at Finn Bakewell go. Just one monster after another hitting play. And this is like a well-oiled machine. He knows exactly what he's doing here.
Yep, he'll be going straight for his Electromite here. Just making all of those plays that he wanted to make turn 1 but got shut down for him.
How excited is this to see for you? Because from what I heard, you did not exactly see that in the finals of the National Championship in England.
Yeah, we didn't really see the Pendulum deck performing to its full capabilities, which we have at least got the chance to see here. And Finn looks like he's going to be taking this game and the match probably this very turn.
Well, it's still a little bit too early to tell, but he's definitely on the way there. You seem quite convinced. What are the odds right now? You would say 80% or more?
I'd put Finn as a lock for this match.
Okay. So Tom Rose, the guy that defeated Finn Bakewell, is very, very certain that he's gonna things are gonna turn out differently this time around.
Finn does seem very nervous, and
yeah,
nerves can get to you in a time like this.
It's interesting because I think it's very unlikely that he's going to be awarded a slow play warning because he's constantly doing something. But he's half of that is because he seems really hectic. There's a lot of finger movement even when nothing is happening. That's a good strategy to get around that warning. It just look like you're about to you have a nervous breakdown very soon while you're playing or while you're summoning your monsters, and Judge will never award you a warning.
Well, he's still continuing to advance the game state, so there's nothing awry.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to sound in that way and try to not give him credit where credit is due.
So we're activating the effect of Electromite here, getting the chronograph back to his hand, just going through all of the motions, cycling through. I don't know if he's drawn a card for the Electromite yet this turn, though.
I think it all has to do with the fact that time is running out. Slowly but steadily.
I can only assume that was a normal summon to that zone.
Oh, by the way, I've just got word from our table judges. They're telling me that there are 3 additional minutes in this round going to be played because of slow play.
Did Finn's Pendulum Scale just get banished there? No, he special summoned with the effect of chronograph. He did exactly what we said he didn't need to do, and he special summoned a monster in front of Topologic Trispina.
Oh,
and he's taken 1,000 damage for the privilege of banishing 2 cards from his field.
Does it matter, though?
It probably still leaves Finn in the favored position for the match, but
his 100% just went a little bit lower.
He's doing his best to get rid of that lock that I had him on.
Yeah. He wants to keep things exciting and interesting for us. He's doing it for the fans here. So that is it for Finn Bakewell. He did not win this turn, as you predicted.
He didn't win, nor did he even establish a board with any real interaction for the opponent's turn here.
Yeah, so Mario Argiro is suddenly finding himself, surprisingly, sitting in the driver's seat. And the only question is, can he put the pedal to the floor right now? And I think he seems to think that he can. He certainly has a couple of openings here with the light stage, with the Candina. Searches for Licorice.
What's the last spell card in his hand at the moment?
He just got a Scapegoat.
Okay, the Scapegoat is unlikely to do anything for him immediately, but as we say, it can have an impact on not taking damage in the next turn, just walling out attacks.
Yeah, and like we said, we got 7 more minutes in this round because of those 3 minutes extra time.
See the effect of Licorice coming out in the battle phase here. Attacking over the purple poison, so that will trigger the effect of the purple poison.
Attention duelists, if you want to attend public events, the public
this leaves only a Scapegoat.
Yeah, and Mario is basically saying, I got the Scapegoat, but that's all I got, and that is not enough. And surprisingly, in a way, because we were a bit on the fence, we weren't 100% sure if that is going to be it. It was it, Finn Bakewell, even though we saw that minor misplay, it seemed, when you said you had him as a lock for the round.
The nerves just seemed to get the better of him there. And
He seemed extremely shaky.
it can happen to anyone. There's a huge amount of pressure. We have hundreds of people turning up to watch these feature matches every single round.
Yeah, and that's actually not an exaggeration. Some of them are waving to us, so that's also distracting, making our job harder. But it seems like it's playing well with the crowd. They are having a good time. And we, of course, are also liking that we get to see some live interactions with them, and they are telling us what they think about those feature matches. Speaking of what we think about the feature match, we're now going to hear from our expert panel. They're going to run you through some of the key plays in that round 2 feature match. So let's take you over to Luke and Matt.
Hello, thank you very much, Ollie and Tom. So we are here with Finn Bakewell. Finn,
Congratulations.
Yeah, it was just great. Yeah, it
was a pretty intense match, wasn't it?
You might need to move a little bit closer.
I feel like
Get a bit closer. Come a bit closer.
I feel like that's my most comfortable matchup with Pendulum, because as you saw with that first game, I was able to use both zones. Since he gave me one, I was able to OTK.
Yeah. Nice.
That one came as a bit of surprise, because you looked at your hand and it was like, this doesn't do a lot of combos, but it does get the game ended.
Yeah, that was just thing. I was just trying to get the game, because I knew that at that point I wasn't going to have like a turn 3, so I was going to get a game. I knew I could do that with Dark Rebellion and Time Star, since I didn't use my normal summon.
Yeah.
It's just like one of those dual puzzles. How do I win in this turn?
Yeah.
Supreme Dark King Rebellion, that'll do the job.
It does seem like you're really good at just looking at your opponent's field and being able to figure out any possible way out, and that's what the Pendulum deck seems to be quite good at.
Yeah,
do you realize that you're doing that?
I guess, yeah, but I guess it's just common practice now for me. Like, I've been playing for Pendulum so long that I'm just used to doing these type of plays.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did see in game 2 the firewall OTK loop just showing up in the middle of the game there. How many turns did you spot that out from the start of the turn?
Yeah, I think he was trying to go for that, and there's really much I could have done at that point.
Yeah. That was super interesting at the start of game 3 that you decided to go second.
Yeah, that surprised everyone.
That was quite surprising.
My theory is that they're gonna start going for me going first, like hand traps, and it was anyway with Goga. But I started with one more card. He's gonna give me a solo at the time that I don't need Electromite to push through.
Yeah.
And apart from that deck doesn't really play a lot of defense.
Yeah. So it was super interesting that he then had quite a lot against you, actually.
Yeah.
Considering that he should have side decked to go first.
I think it is with game 3 is that you want to side like half.
Yeah.
Just in case your opponent tries to trick you, yeah?
Yeah.
So what happened when you did you summoned in front of the Trispina arrow?
Yeah, that was kind of a mistake. I forgot it banished. I was just trying to do as much damage as possibly can.
Yeah.
We saw you get a little bit nervous there when you did it.
I was just looking at the clock, and I just didn't want to lose the time, since I figured that I was so ahead that I needed to use the bell.
Yeah. So I guess it was at that point for you, it was more important for you to get a lot of damage in as opposed to finishing the game out.
Yeah, and I doubt that I doubt the scale mattered anyway, so that's why I didn't really think that I forgot it banished it, but that's why I just went for it anyway.
Yeah. It didn't seem to matter in the end. He drew his card, and it's just like, there's no way any of my power cards come into play. Scapegoat, not very useful when you're getting close to the end of the time.
All right, well, so that's it. I think we were probably the last table.
Yeah.
Good job.
Oh, Finn, do you know your win rate?
I've heard it's like over. I think it's like over 75% now, isn't it?
I'll show you after the match. I've not got it readily available.
Oh, you've not got it available. Okay, but yeah.
We talked about it at the start. Let's have a quick look.
Yeah, so we have Luke up here because he's the only one who can actually read the code. It's like looking at the Matrix.
Yeah, so 75%.
Wow.
That's a lot, by the way.
That's like close to like people that like Joshua and JY.
Think about it like this. So if your win rate is 75%, every 4 people that stand in front of you, only one of them will be able to beat you.
Yeah.
That's quite good, isn't it?
Yeah, that's quite nice.
And your win rate at Nationals was 86%.
Yeah, I only lost 2 times and drew that once, so...
Yeah, and the second loss was obviously the
clean sweep that day.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, definitely seems like you're prepared for this tournament, Finn, and we wish you the best of luck going into the later rounds.
Yeah, so that's it from us. Good luck in the rest of the rounds, Finn.
Thanks anyway.
And we'll see you guys in just a few minutes for round number 3.